Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. First of all, I'd like to translate that for our non Muslims who are possibly watching the show or possibly will watch the show in the future. Assalamu alaikum basically means may the peace of God Almighty be upon all of you. Peace, throughout mankind. May God have peace and tranquility upon everybody. And I really appreciate you, brothers and sisters, kind of staying with this particular stream. It was postponed, unfortunately, due to uncontrollable circumstances, but I really appreciate everybody joining in the chat and people who have tuned in to today's show. I'm going to take a bit of a backstage or a back burner today. I'm not feeling too well, got a bit of a temperature, but nevertheless, our brother YUSUF Ismail, who is all the way in South Africa, mashallah, joined with him again. But
My boy, if you saw him in the background,
mashallah,
he's 8
mashallah,
years old.
may
Yeah,
Allah
so
bless him. Just a quick one. On Friday, I was with a pro-Palestinian organization here in Coventry, and they were doing some demonstrations. I did a live stream, and it was good to see. It was really heartwarming to see people taking their time out in their daily duties just to go out there and show their support for the Palestinian people. So a big shout out to the organizers of that small demonstration where I was kind of like recording and interacting with the people. But I hope you guys enjoyed that show, and thank you for all the thumbs up for those people who tuned in on that Friday. But yeah, nevertheless, we've got a very interesting show today, and I could really go on myself, and somehow, mashallah, I've just got some energy now, to be honest, to kind of like just go through some of the situations that are going on there in Gaza, in Palestine, and around the world, where people are trying to broker deals or try to sort out some ceasefire conditions and so forth. And Brother Yusuf will hopefully go through some of these key moments that are currently happening and that's happened throughout the week. And here in the UK, we are really subjected to limited news and information regarding the genocide that's taking place in Palestine, in Gaza. But when it comes to the war in Ukraine and Russia, we are updated daily, hourly regarding the success or so-called success of the Ukrainian and plus NATO forces that have just slightly gone into some of the bounds of the Russian border. And we are really updated on and somehow the media really portrays the Ukrainians as some type of resistance fighting force. But when it comes to the people of Palestine and the people of Gaza, they are looked down upon as terrorists, and being the ones who are oppressing the Jewish state of, or the Zionist state of Israel. But that's enough said by me. Brother Yusuf, nice to see you again. May Allah bless you and protect you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And it's always fascinating hearing you and your experiences, because you are down there, and I think in the United Kingdom, I stand subject to correction, but particularly and I'm talking about in Western Europe, with probably the exception of the United States. I don't know, maybe more than the United States, your country and your kingdom, if I can call it that, has seen more protests than in any other part of the world. And I'm talking about the non-Muslim world. So it's quite clearly amazing. And these protests have been also marked by a large number of Jews that have participated in these protests. And I see also recently the counter protests that have basically taken place in the United Kingdom. In fact, far outweighed the right-wing, fanatical, Zionist, extremist riots that were being happening in the United Kingdom. So it's quite fascinating to see some of what's going on in your particular country. So yes, there have been a couple of updates that have happened over the weekend. And so this topic and this channel is aptly titled today, Israel, a Satanic State. This is indeed a satanic state. I think Brother Muhammad will post the StreamYard link to join in for those who are interested in questioning us. Just show your face. Show your face at the backstage at the very least so we know who you are. If you want to cover yourself when you speak, that's fine, but at least we know that who you are, because we understand our position. We can't allow you to come on anonymously and then start posting pornographic material or start abusing us for all intents and purposes. That's not going to work. And the stream will then get shut down. So don't be a coward. Be man enough. If you've got any question, any issue, anything you want to raise, come on this platform and discuss with us. And we'd be happily discuss. We've basically deconstructed and destroyed, myself and Brother Muhammad at least, and a few others that have joined us here and there over the past several months, intellectually destroyed the state of Israel from a strategic point of view, from a intellectual point of view, from an ideological point of view. Our argument is that the state of Israel should not exist. It shouldn't exist. It's a pariah. It's an apartheid state, and as such, it needs to cease to it needs to cease to exist. And so we've called for the disbandment, totally, not partially, totally, of the state of Israel. So the link has been pinned. If you are interested in coming on board, do come on board, and then you can join us at some point. But I want to bring forward the attention of the viewers out there the fact that, last week when we were on, we were speaking about the school attack that had basically transpired and it happened. And now we see again, this is another program. I'm just going to share the slide. Here we are. Share screen. I'm going to share a screen with some of you here. This is a family. 25 people have been killed just a day ago. I've just shared this here. Family, an entire family, including 6 children, amongst the 25 killed in Israeli attacks on Gaza. Now, I don't care, and I frankly don't give a damn in terms of what kind of justification you may wish to make, even on the assumption that Hamas did this or Hamas did that. I don't care. This is plain, clear wrong. It's evil. And UNRWA has basically mentioned in this particular news report that the so-called Gaza humanitarian zone, like the Al-Mawasi area and all those, that has shrunk to just 11% of the strip. So the humanitarian zone is that portion where the Palestinians are supposed to move to in the face of ongoing attacks. And even that humanitarian zone has shrunk to 11% of the entire strip. Imagine that. The Gaza Strip is about 60 kilometers long and about 40 kilometers wide. And 11% of that, 11%, it's like a small, not even the size of a small street neighborhood. That's how shocking it is. How do you expect 2 million people to be squeezed up there? So this is a report. This is yesterday. As you can see, the date, 18th of August. And it's important to keep this up, that a family including 6 children have been murdered in the central Gaza Strip in the latest wave of attacks. And then before that, 25 Palestinians were murdered in the past 24 hours. So the numbers just keep on going daily. Imagine the situation that if this happened now suddenly in Israel, that say 10 people, leave alone 25, say 10 people were killed. It would be global news. And there would be outrage, massive outrage by these same hypocrites that are basically raising these particular actions. So it says here, the parents and their 6 children were killed in Deir el-Bala in the central part of the strip. The grandfather of the children said their mother worked for the United Nations. So they've engaged in humanitarian work. And he quotes, "My daughter, together with a husband and 6 children, was sleeping peacefully at home in Deir el-Bala. They were taken by surprise. An Israeli missile landed over their heads. The entire house was flattened. They were all killed. My daughter has been struggling to have children for years. She had those children through in vitro fertilization. What wrong did those innocent children do? Were they posing any danger to Israel? Were they carrying arms? Because there was no Hamas there. This is rubbish about there being Hamas there. These were an innocent family. So don't lie and say Hamas was hiding. Hamas was not hiding." Al Jazeera's phenomenal journalist, and this man is a phenomenon, Tariq Abu Azum. You probably see him on the English Daily. He reported directly from Deir el-Bala. He said 4 of her children were twins and they had been lined up together in order to be buried in cemeteries in this town. We have seen really heartbreaking scenes with dozens of bodies lined in the morgue outside Al-Aqsa Hospital. There has been a remarkable surge in strikes in Deir al-Bala where Palestinians were told to seek refuge. So they are told to seek refuge and they're killed. They are told to seek refuge and they're killed. More and more, the humanitarian zones have basically destroyed. And so this also begs the question that if you are saying you're after Hamas, after Hamas, after Hamas, this kind of rubbish, I mean, you failed. You failed dismally, meaning in 10 months you failed to do anything against Hamas. If you're saying they are there, then it means they're still up and running on your rotten standards. And your only goal and the objectives are achieved in killing and murdering more and more Palestinians. This is the report. This is directly from the website.
Israeli spokesperson Arabic Afichai Edel'i published the new evacuation orders to Beit Hanun, Sheikh Zayed, and some parts of Beit Lahia in an attempt to have a full military control of the northern parts of the north of Gaza and Jabalia. But I'm talking to you from Sheikh Zayed itself, and people here refuse to evacuate or move because they are tired of evacuating over and over.
Exactly. They're tired of evacuating over and over and over and over. Evacuating, they go to another place, they are bombed. They go to another place, they are bombed.
And they are telling that the Israeli forces is lying and there is no any safer place. And they took a lesson from a Tabi'in and Hamama school in the Gaza city. That's why they are preferring.
I mean, look at them. These are some of the poorest people on earth, malnourished individuals. What's your excuse? Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. People are laughing at you. They are laughing at you. Those dirty Israeli apologists out there. We are laughing at you. We are laughing at your lies. I see your initial attacks against this channel was there. Now you've become more subdued.
To stay here rather than moving and follow the Israeli orders. As you can see in the picture, civilians here still open their stores and still taking shelter in schools here in Sheikh Zayed and other parts of Beit Hanun and Beit Lahia.
So this is the reality of the situation in terms of what you can see. And then elsewhere you have, again, on the strip, Israeli aircraft bombed 2 apartment buildings in the Jabalia refugee camp. This is again on the weekend, killing 4 Palestinians. And late on Saturday, an attack near the southern city of Khan Yunis killed 4 more people from the same family, including 2 women, according to the Nasser hospital. And in the Nusayrat refugee camp in the center of the strip, 7 people were killed, including 3 children, according to Al Jazeera Arabic. So every day, every week, every month, there's more and more attacks. UNRWA, that's the main UN agency for Palestinian refugees, and they're the ones that made the point, as I've mentioned earlier, that the strip has shrunk to about 11%. This is on their Twitter feed. This is on their Twitter feed. They have these people. I mean, where on earth do these people go to? Where do they go to? Where on earth do these people go to? Explain. Where do these people go to? I mean, is there some place for them to go to get to? I mean, what do you want? What do you want these individuals? Where do you want these people to go to? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense in terms of what the Israeli state is basically engaging in. I mean, and this is ongoing. So the attacks on we discussed this last week. There was a slaughter. About that particular school. People now have probably even forgotten that. Brother Muhammad, we spoke about that school. When was it? A week or 2 weeks ago, where they attacked that school, killing 100 people. But that was 100 people. To date, Israel has destroyed more than 500 Gaza schools in the past 10 months. Imagine that. I mean, look at the long-term consequences about this. What about education? Have people ever thought about that? You get worried, and people get worried when their children don't have a good education. Look at the lifeblood and the education of the Gazans, the destruction of the schools, the destruction of educators, the destruction of libraries. This is basically destroying an entire civilizational worldview. That's basically what they're doing. They're destroying an entire civilizational worldview. Where do these children go to school. This was, I think we discussed this on the 14th, where it spoke about the previous week, the 100 people were killed in the, I even forgot the name, the Al Talbin school. And that triggered global outrage. But there's been more than 600 schools that have been destroyed by Israel. There's not a single university left. These are the 4 schools in 4 days that we spoke on last week or the week before last in July. We're now in August. I mean, in a normal situation, this would have been an outrage. This would have been an outrage. Look at the face. Almost 85% of school buildings are damaged. When you say 85%, what are you saying? 15%? What are they going to do? 208 total school buildings, 309 government buildings, 187 UNRWA school buildings, 68 private school buildings, 564 total school buildings in Gaza, totally destroyed. So there's no education. No education at all. What's the purpose of destroying and attacking schools? Firstly, they are sheltering people, but they are the lifeblood of a community, the education. What do you get by attacking these particular schools? And is there going to be an investigation? Of course not. This is absolute havoc. There's going to be nothing done, absolutely nothing done in relation to the destruction of the infrastructure, the destruction of the people. I just want to share
Before we share that, Brother Yusuf, I just wanted to mention, and it's a very heartbreaking story about the father who went to get his birth certificates of his 2 so it's very heartbreaking where you see the father in a joyous moment where he's going to get the birth certificates of his new children that were born. They were twins, and even before he could get the birth certificates written up, he found out that his place of abode was bombed, and his wife and his newborn children perished and were martyred. That was for me a very somber, heartbreaking moment. And like I said previously, here in the UK, imagine if that happened the other way around, where if it happened in Israel or if it happened in a Western so-called civilized country, that will be on the news and plastered upon all the tabloid newspapers. But here in the UK, unfortunately, it maybe lasted a couple of hours and then the story was forgotten about. And I don't know if you heard about the story.
Yes. Yes, I did. In fact, you're correct. You're 100% correct. I mean, imagine if that happened in a normal circumstance. I mean, there was look at the riots that happened in the UK. I mean, we have stabbings daily and stabbings and killings of children in South Africa, and it doesn't even make the news, which is shocking. It just goes to show that life is so cheap. And I mean, the rest of the world doesn't know. But I mean, in Southport, when they killed and they murdered these children or these girls, I don't know the full details, but horrific as that incident was, I mean, it made global news. I believe there were white girls going to some sort of concert, but they were little girls. Nonetheless, it was shocking and shameless, and it led to almost a total anarchy in British society because of the horrendous actions, of course, coupled with these irresponsible and pathetic Twitter individuals like Andrew Tate and Tommy Robinson and all these characters that added fuel to the fire. But that was massive. Now, in this instance, India, I mean, people forgot about it. The individual, the brother, is known as Muhammad Abu al-Qumasan. He had twins. What basically happened is that he had joyous news of his twins being born, and as he waited to collect the birth certificates of his, I think they were about 2 days old or a day old, he learned that his newborn twins and his wife were murdered in what the official state and witnesses say was an Israeli airstrike. So he was holding up the birth certificates, and I think that's part of your stream. You know, if people viewed the stream or joining in, that's on the thumbnail itself, which shows the brother. His name is Muhammad Abu al-Qumasan. And he basically expressed and told, and I saw the report on NBC News, that the pain is too big for me to express. He feels like he's living in a nightmare. And you have a situation where he's actually holding up the birth certificates of his two baby girls, Aisel and Asr, with tears in his eyes. And he stated how he had been racing to retrieve those documents, and he got them. He got those documents when then he received this kind of gut-wrenching call. And how he got it was by a journalist or reporter that told him the apartment you were living in was shelled. It was totally destroyed. So his wife was killed, and his babies were killed. And here's it here. This is the brother. This is him here. This is him. That's him.
I just want to also mention, Brother Yusuf, I'm really sorry to cut you up. I remember when I lost somebody who was very, very close to me. My grandfather, he was my role model. He was like, even though he's my grandfather, he was like a father to me. He was like a brother to me. He was my advisor in anything and everything that I wanted to do. Anything that I wanted to think of, I would approach him first. And he was very, may Allah have mercy upon him. My grandfather was very noble, mashallah. And when I lost my grandfather in 2018, it feels, for those people who understand, it feels like your heart, your stomach is ripped out of your chest. And just think about the situation that these people are going through in Palestine. Now, this father, he lost two children, he lost his wife. How do you think he is feeling? I can really kind of understand how he feels when your chest and your stomach is like being pulled out from your body, from the hurt of somebody that you lost. And you can never really say goodbye to them. You can never hold them for a split moment. You can't tell them that I loved you because it's too late. So I just wanted to share this somber moment for me personally, that losing somebody, subhanallah, even to this day, it feels like a part of your life has gone. But alhamdulillah, as Muslims, we believe in the afterlife. We believe in paradise. So, our supplications is always that we'll get to meet our loved ones, inshallah, in paradise. And this one gives me hope, alhamdulillah. But think about this father who lost his two children, daughters, and his wife. And you can see the image, you can see the picture captures his face. I can really kind of relate to that he just feels like he's been teared apart, subhanallah. I just wanted to share that story with you guys. And Brother Yusuf, if you want to carry on, you can.
Yeah, it's very heart-wrenching. If you can play this video, I think you had the video, or I'll share my screen in relation to this brother here. But it's heart-wrenching when you lose loved ones in normal circumstances. It is so terrible. And you can imagine the situation when they are not killed in normal circumstances. These are abnormal circumstances that these particular people are being murdered and killed. This is the and look at the patients. This is the brother here, Muhammad Abu al-Qassam. I'll expand.
Can you make it bigger, yeah, please?
Yeah, we can play this here. This is him here.
نذير الى الابد يا اخوي، الى الابد يا اخوي. والله قاعد الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله. الاجتماع في الفردوس الاعلى، سندك هذول يوم القيامه، سندك يوم القيامه. الحمد لله، قول الحمد لله. اي هذا كله مع معهم ايسر ولا ثاني. يلا والله القادم. الله أكبر.
So that these are powerful images that you basically see, and in terms of what's
And
happening.
all these, allegations that the Zionist regime made about human shields and Hamas hiding in particular locations. Now, where is the evidence or any such type of narration that this house or this location was bombed and these two children, there's a boy and a girl actually, Yusuf. I think it was a
I
boy and a
didn't know it
girl.
was boy. Yeah, it's a boy and a girl. You're correct. This is the
Yeah.
report in the Guardian, and I mean it's shocking. This is another family here. This is look at this. Look at the wounds. Rahim Abu Hayya, a Palestinian who survived an Israeli attack that killed her entire family, cries. I mean, imagine this baby. Her entire family is killed. And I mean, we talk about killing as it's in such a loose term, just by numbers, but what about the psychological impact? Because what about the orphans? Thousands and thousands and thousands of orphans. You had an entire family. The UN estimated in February that about 17,000 children were unaccompanied, and the number is likely to have grown. Meaning, these people, these children, and these are not people just under 18, which could be teenagers. These are kids this age, here, this age. And in this instance here, the Abu Hayya family, they were sheltering in an area that Israel had ordered people to evacuate in recent days. One of several such orders had led to thousands to seek shelters, and they've got the audacity. This is basically Associated Press and the Guardian, which stated people have ignored the evacuation orders, but the reality is that they've nowhere to go. They're unable to make an arduous journey on foot, or because they will fear they will never be able to return to them. So now think of it in Leicester or Birmingham or Winchester or any part, Bradford, and now suddenly you are told to leave your home with your belongings and everything. You just take the bare necessities and leave. How many of you could do that? I mean, psychologically, you'd stay behind and hope that, look, maybe nothing will happen. But I mean, look at these people. Where do they go to? Because even in the area where they are told to go, they are destroyed. They are murdered. They are butchered. They are humiliated. They are raped. Their women are raped, as we saw in the report by B'Tselem 2 weeks ago, where Israeli women are repeatedly raped by Palestinian children. I mean, Israel is like an abusive wife or abusive spouse, abusive husband, where they abuse the wife, gang rape her, get other people to gang rape her, and then basically they play their victims of domestic violence. Israel is like, there's a saying that every accusation that Israel has made against Hamas is actually a confession in terms of what they've done. Every accusation that they falsely level against Hamas is actually a confession of their own evil. So they accuse Hamas of raping. In actual fact, Hamas didn't rape. The Israeli soldiers raped, as we saw a couple of weeks back. They accused Hamas of burning children. We now know that that is totally false. Hamas didn't burn children. Israel burns children, and we've seen practical images. They accuse Hamas of shooting dead children in cold blood. That never happened. That was fake news. That was false. It is basically Israel that is shown to be killing. And I want to share something with you before we move on. You remember?
Do you know the narrative about recently? There's a narrative. Sorry, Yusuf. There is a narrative where the Israeli army are actually dressing up Palestinian captives as Israeli soldiers and using them as human shields. That is also being exposed now by an ex-veteran of the IDF army, where he has come out and mentioned that what the Israeli army have been doing have been getting uniforms and dressing up the Palestinian captives as Israeli soldiers and then using them as human shields. Now, brothers and sisters, this is why in the Quran, Allah says that they plan, but Allah is the best of planners. Now, everything that the Israeli army mentioned and pointing fingers at the Hamas or the Muslims is actually collapsed. And now it's coming out that Israel are the ones who are killing children, burning children, raping men, raping male prisoners. And we've seen that. We've seen it on the news. It's horrific. Raping of women.
This is the article.
Sorry,
Put it up,
Yusuf.
Robert, go ahead.
But the narratives of, you know, October the 7th are really being demolished like a pack of cards. And Israel and the Zionist regime are being exposed for the terrorists and the Zionists that they really are. But what really hurts me also is the fact that a lot of the Muslim community, I'm on about the general awam, the population, they are still too busy with their daily dunya lifestyle, and they don't want to kind of like rock the boat and say anything. When will the Muslim communities stand up? When I was there on Friday at that particular demonstration in Coventry, overwhelmingly, majority of the people who were holding the Palestinian flags were non-Muslims. Majority of them were English people. And where are the Muslims? You know, I really want to know, where are the Muslims? Yusuf, carry on if you want to, inshallah.
Yeah, no, that is true. Where are the Muslims? Where are the Muslim community? Where are the Muslim leaders? Where are our Muslim rulers? Where are our Muslim alims? I mean, speak up. I mean, talk, discuss. I mean, you're engaged in your own wrangling. Where are these, you know, these what they call, you know, Miriam Francois calls some of these people in the UK, these Dawa boys. Where are they? Where are they? Why is it that this is not part of your discourse when there's open slaughter? You have laugh, you giggle, you have other programs and platforms and shows. Where are all of you? Where are you and what you're doing? And just to bring and emphasize the point that you're making here, if I could probably just increase it. And I'm glad that you brought this for my attention. If I can probably just, I don't know if I can expand this. Yeah, here we are. If I can expand it here, if you can probably see it more closer. Basically, you have a situation that is now established that Israeli forces have been using civilians as human shields against possible booby traps. So the booby traps are set up. So what they do is that they take these civilians and they use them as human shields. And how does it go? Let's go through. This is a Guardian report. All those that are making the accusations, every accusation that you make against Hamas is actually a confession of your own crimes. Here's it here. Israeli soldiers are using Palestinian civilians as human shields in Gaza to enter and clear tunnels and buildings they suspect may have been booby-trapped. And it says here, the practice was so widespread across different units fighting in Gaza that it could in effect be considered a protocol. What is a protocol? A protocol, said Nadav Wyman, the executive director of Breaking the Silence, a group founded by Israeli combat veterans to document military abuses. The group has collected testimony describing the practice from veterans of the 10-month war. The accounts have matched those reported in an investigation by the Haaretz, which claimed that the chief of the staff's office was aware of the practice. So it's official command responsibilities. The senior ranks know about it. Our lives are more important than their lives, Haaretz quoted commanders telling their soldiers. The practice is said to be so routine, so common, that Israeli soldiers have a name for the human shields, who are referred to as shawish, an informal slang for low-ranking soldiers, and the process was described by several witnesses. And here's the important thing. Palestinian civilians, not Hamas, mostly young men, are picked up by Israeli soldiers, dressed in Israeli uniforms, then sent into tunnels and damaged houses ahead of Israeli forces. Their hands are tied together and a camera is attached to the body as they go in. Palestinians are told, do one mission and you're free. What freedom are you talking about? Do one mission and you're free. What freedom are you talking about when you're still blowing the entire neighborhoods up? Afterwards, the men are reported released to join their families, where they are then blown up. They're blown up because their families are being killed. Underlined to the soldiers who spoke to Haaretz that there were civilians who did not pose any military threat and had been detained only for clearance operations. How sick is this? How satanic is this? That's why I said Israel is a satanic state. Footage of Palestinian civilians, including some in IDF, being sent was obtained by Al Jazeera and broadcast in July. So this is now. So always these hypocrites that have come on this platform, you know who you are, some of you scoundrels, human shields, human shields, human shields. It's actually Israel that has been using Palestinian civilians as human shields, not the other way around. Not the other way around. One soldier had been told Palestinian civilians were being used to replace dog units that searched for explosives because too many dogs had died, he added. So, dog is a creature of God. It's a creature of Allah, but they treat these Palestinians worse than dogs. So they're more concerned about dogs dying than Palestinians. In Israel in 2005, the Supreme Court banned officially the usage of human shields, but it seems that this is now basically happening on a repeated basis. The orders and the directives of the IDF prohibit the use of Gazans captured as human shields. But the problem is, why are they doing this? The reports of the Israeli Defense Force using civilians as human shields come after the Israeli military has repeatedly justified attacks on civilian targets by alleging Hamas uses them as human shields. So how can we say that kind of thing after we're doing this, after we're taking Palestinians as human shields? How can we say that? This was the report in the Guardian. This is the Haaretz report. Look at the Haaretz report. This is a Haaretz investigation. And the Haaretz report, Israeli army, this is an Israeli newspaper, uses Palestinian civilians, not Hamas, as human shields to inspect potentially booby-trap tunnels in Gaza. And what's the justification for that? What do they say? Here's it here. Here's the justification. Our lives are more important than their lives. Gazans not suspected of terrorism are detained and sent as human shields to search tunnels and houses before IDF, even though IDF states that this particular practice is forbidden. So this is the point. This is in the Haaretz newspaper. The Haaretz newspaper. And I mean, coming to this, where as Brother Muhammad cries out, where are these Muslims? Where are Muslims? Why are Muslims not speaking out more and more against this? Our religious leaders, the political leaders in the Muslim world. I mean, there's a lot to be said about whether they're Islamic or not. But where is the deathly silence? Where is Iran that's been talking so much, that have had assassinations? And they basically, Iran was being portrayed as a bulldog all this time, but now it's becoming more and more like a kind of a fox terrier. Barks, woof, 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 but it can do nothing. This is the point. I mean, so it's no different from Saudi Arabia and Qatar and all these other countries. No different. You talk a lot. It's more bark than bite. If you had that level of bite, people would respect you more. And this is the problem that we've got. The Muslim leadership has failed. The political leadership in the West has failed. The Muslim community, what are we doing? We are involved in our own little narrow discourse. And I mean, the online Muslim community. I was looking at a report about the fact that, people go to some of these channels and they've got 1 million subscribers, 2 million subscribers. And the perception out there is that, look, these are the authentic voices. When in reality, that's not the case, because the online community or the YouTube community, if you got a major YouTube channel, it doesn't make you an Islamic scholar. I mean, the vast majority of Islamic scholars out there don't have YouTube channels, genuine Islamic scholars as such. They're not on YouTube necessarily engaging in these kind of polemics that you see online. But I'm saying that if you've got these major channels, be that as it may, why not use them effectively? You use them for purposes of refuting other Muslims. You use them in attacking other people. You get bogged down into issues of Aqidah and all of that. Why don't you use them for the proper purpose, for what it's meant to be in terms of what's happening on the grassroots, on the ground, holding your leadership accountable, like you see here in these particular areas where they hold individuals available, they hold people accountable. Some of these Western journalists are holding people accountable on this particular. I want to share something here. You remember Hind Rajab? Hind Rajab was murdered. Bullets were riddled, and the situation is as follows. This is basically what happened. I want to share this the screen in terms of what you can see. This is where a journalist has been questioning the State Department. Have a look at this to see how people have to be repeatedly kept on check. I want you to share this and have a look. I'm going to open the screen and just listen to this particular thing. 200 days and still no justice for him. Is it on your screen, Brother Mohammed? I'm going to expand this. Here we are. This. Listen to this.
هذه سيارة عائلة حمادة التي أطلقت عليها عشرات الرصاصات.
It's been over 2 weeks since Israeli forces attacked Hind Rajab's family, killing her aunt, uncle, and cousins. We found her alone in her vehicle. We heard her pleas to the Red Crescent Society. 2 medics were sent, all to be blown up allegedly by Israeli forces. I wanted to ask about the status of the inquiry into this.
So I think that question is appropriately directed to the government of Israel. I will say on behalf of the United States, we have made clear to them that we want that incident to be investigated. They have told us they are investigating it. It's our understanding that investigation is not yet complete. You should direct questions to them about where it stands, but we want to see it completed as soon as possible. And as I said from this podium several days ago, if accountability is appropriate, we want to see accountability put in place.
Any updates on Hind Rajab's, the investigation in the killing of Hind Rajab's family and the paramedics sent to save her?
I don't have an update. My understanding is that the investigation is ongoing.
So I'm wondering if you have updates on not just the investigations, but actual accountability measures in response to these. And if not, how can this administration's approach of relegating things to months-long investigations while not changing policy, all as thousands more are killed, be a justified approach?
Investigations in some cases take time. You heard me a minute ago say we want them in every case to be conducted swiftly, but not at the expense of thoroughness. So we will continue to press for not just full investigations, but when warranted, all appropriate accountability measures.
Secondly, it's been 101 days now since Hind Rajab, her family members, medics, and to save her were killed. So first question related to that is there an update on the investigation into that attack?
I don't have anyone. I'm happy to go back and get you the latest.
Okay. Is there an update into this investigation?
Let me get you an answer on that and come back to you.
Is it really an independent investigation if the alleged culprits are the ones conducting the strike?
What I said, we thought it's appropriate for the government of Israel to investigate. They have said to us, and again, as I said, I'm not attesting to any of these facts. I can tell you that we intervene with them. They provide us answers. I'm providing them to you. And what they have said is they went to these agencies and asked for information, and it wasn't forthcoming.
Sure. So on that note, you said that the Red Crescent, the UN hasn't provided answers. Will you move to verify those claims?
It is not for us to do it.
Last month, when myself and other colleagues asked about the investigation into this, the department said Israel said that they're still investigating, and that Israel also said that the UN and Red Crescent did not respond to outreach from the Israeli government. I reached out to the Red Crescent, and they said that no, the Israeli government did not reach out. So has the Biden-Harris administration followed up on this alleged lie by the Israeli government, or sought to confirm any of Israel's claims on the half-year-old killing now of this girl and her family?
So we are in touch with our partners in Israel around the clock on a variety of issues. I don't have any specifics to read out as it relates to this conversation. I'm happy to check if there have been any additional updates, but to my understanding, this investigation is still ongoing, and I will leave it to them to speak to the details of it.
So I had reached out to the Israeli government as well, and while I was reaching out to the Red Crescent, they said they would get back to me with an answer, and that they did not after we reported the Red Crescent said that
well, it's really, I'm not a spokesperson for the responsiveness of another foreign ministry.
Given that, this government gives them billions of dollars in aid, I imagine that such claims want to be fact-checked.
So we will continue to engage with our partners in Israel. We ask them for additional information. We ask questions when we see incidents unfold, and we'll continue to do that. As it relates to this incident, I'm not aware of any updates, and I believe this investigation is ongoing.
It's now 197 days since Hind Rajab was killed, her family members were killed, the medics that they were killed. What's the update on that?
I don't have any updates for you. Go ahead.
So, Brother Muhammad, what do you see from this?
think one of the brothers just put a comment, and I just want to echo his comment there, Brother Dawood. Just say you don't care. Just say it. You know, these people are on these platforms, these podiums, no answers given. And it was very heartbreaking when you played the audio off when, you know, the phone call was made, you know, to the agencies. She was in the car. The vehicle was riddled with bullets. She was the only survivor. There were bodies all over inside the car. And she made the phone call, and it's very heartbreaking, subhanAllah, that, you know, the call handler just asked her to recite Surah Fatiha, to recite the Quran. And how brave she was, subhanAllah, that she recited Surah Fatiha. And that's a young girl, a young child. You know, imagine if that was us, subhanAllah. Imagine if that was us. We'll be saying, what would we have done in that situation? You're in the back of the car. Your whole family is being shot to pieces, and you're the only survivor, and you're calling for help. And the aid worker who takes the call asks you to recite Surah Fatiha. And she recites Surah Fatiha. And then, of course, a moment later, she was murdered by the IDF. And it's heartbreaking, Yusuf. It really is. And it really is. If there's anybody who wants to come on from the Muslims and non-Muslims, the link has been pinned. You are most welcome.
Yes, it's here. I want people to listen to her, those who haven't seen this before. That's it there. Let's basically expand this and let people hear what she's saying.
ونقرأ قرآن وأدعي شوي. شو رأيك؟ طيب. نحكي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. صدق الله العظيم. برافو عليكي، هيك حافظة. ايش يا عمري؟
That is just heartbreaking, it really is. And sorry guys, I am a bit like I don't know, it just really breaks my heart that this young girl, mashallah, may Allah give her the highest rank in paradise. She's in the back of the car, and her family has been massacred, murdered by the Israeli army. They weren't human shields. They weren't Hamas fighters. They were just a family. And she's the only survivor. And she makes the call to the crescent, Red Crescent. And mashallah, even the call handler, you know, how she dealt with this particular situation.
She was breaking down. The call handler was also breaking down.
You can hear her voice. You can hear her voice.
Because she knew the inevitability that these Israeli dogs were going to murder her. She knew what was going to happen. And this poor child, I mean, you know, when I listened to some of these people at the beginning, the commencement of this, some of these major YouTube figures, which some of our Dawah YouTube channels had the audacity and nerve to give platform. People like Jordan Peterson. I mean, why would you want to give him up? Unless, of course, you want to debate him and expose the backwardness and rottenness of his ideology, why give them a platform on an equal level? Jordan Peterson, as an example, one of the first people when this happened after October 7th, his immediate response to the Israelis was, give them hell, meaning the Israelis must give Gazans hell. Tate, for example, people were lauding him immediately afterwards, and this was pointed out by, I think there's a brother in the UK, runs a news outlet called 5 Pillars UK, Hussein, and he pointed out that, in analyzing Tate, that, Tate was making the point, there's no good guys and bad guys. That's only in the movies. So you can't talk about good and bad when it comes to Israel and the Palestinians. Wrong. You're just plainly wrong. You're ignorant of the actual situation. And I think basically what's happened is that, Brother Muhammad, your channel, we've been vindicated by a lot of these things that we've been saying for years. The human shields lies, the lies about the mass rape, lies about the beheading of babies. All those accusations have been debunked. And week after week, day after day, month after month, we are seeing the slaughter happening before our very eyes. And people are doing nothing about it. And that's why the ceasefire deals are guaranteed to fail. And Israel is basically wanting it to totally collapse, because if it succeeds, it'll be the end of Netanyahu, it'll be the end of the regime, it'll be the end of the state of Israel for what it's worth in the modern connotation and context in terms of how it appears. So I don't know if we have anyone in the chat that wants to come on board, but if not, basically we can call it a day, and then have a session again in the future, inshallah.
Yeah, so the link, yeah, absolutely. The link has been pinned. If any Muslims and non-Muslims want to come on, all we ask is that at least the backstage, I think only I can see your face. Put your camera on for a couple of seconds so we can verify you, and then you can freely come on to the main platform, but you can turn your camera off, if you want to. And like I said, and I just want to echo again, brothers and sisters, we started these shows regarding the situation in Palestine soon after the October the 7th. I think we are, myself, Brother Yusuf's channel, the South African Debate Initiative channel, we were the first ones to start this, I do feel, especially when it comes to the Dawah channels. And we continued throughout, the war on Gaza, to give this information to you. And all I request in return from the brothers and sisters is to at least hit the like button or the subscribe button and the share icon for the both of these channels, because we really need to get this information out to the people, the population. And for myself and everybody else in the chat, and Brother Yusuf can maybe echo my thoughts here, when I will be asked in front of Allah, what do I do to help our brothers and sisters who are being oppressed around the world? At least I can give some excuse. Ya Allah, I couldn't physically go out and fight and support them with my blood and with my limbs, but at least I did a little podcast or a show to highlight the problems of the people. At least I can be justified, or maybe Allah can maybe forgive me for not actually being a physical. I can't do anything physically, but at least myself and Brother Yusuf were here, and we can maybe have an excuse that we tried our best. And I don't know what your thoughts on that, Brother Yusuf. I'm sorry, Yusuf. I am a bit emotional today. I do. Forgive me.
That is fine. I accept. What you're basically saying. It's heart wrenching. It's heart wrenching in terms of what you see. Surah Nisa basically calls for people to fight. What is it with you? And I think it's basically a pierce into the heart of the Muslim community. وَمَا لَكُمْ لَا تُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَالْمُسْتَضْعَفِينَ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ وَالنِّسَاءِ والولدان الذين يقولون ربنا أخرجنا من هذه قرية الظالم أهلها واجعل لنا من لدنك وليا واجعل لنا من لدنك نصيرا. And essentially what it translates to is, what is it with you? What is the matter with you? Why is it? This is a question. Why is it that you do not fight in the cause of Allah and for the oppressed men, women, and children who cry out, our Lord, deliver us from this land of oppressors, and appoint for us a savior, appoint for us a helper, appoint for us someone that will liberate us, appoint for us a liberator out of your grace. Do something. This is a pierce directly into the heart of the Muslim community, asking, where are you? Where is your talk? You are 2 billion in the world. What are you doing? Why is it that, none of these Muslim nations can come together and liberate this land from this mosquito that is backed by a superpower, but essentially a mosquito? Why is it that the small, tiny mosquito is causing so much of harm and draining your blood, and the Muslim world outside can do nothing? What's the famous hadith that if one body, the world, the ummah is like a body, and if one portion of that body is basically affected or harmed, then the entire body necessarily feels it. So if you twist your arm or you twist your finger, then that pain translates to the entire body. You feel it throughout. You can't sleep. It affects you in various other ways, psychologically, physically, and otherwise. And that's the position with the Muslim world right now. That tradition, that hadith is so apt at this point in time. And you can do nothing. You can do nothing at all. So this verse in the Quran, Surah Nisa, chapter 4, verse 75, what is it with you? وَمَا لَكُمْ لَا تُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. What is it with you? Why is it that you do not fight? لَا تُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَالْمُسْتَضْعَفِينَ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ وَالنِّسَاءِ وَالْوِلْدَانِ الَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا, that these people are crying out, our Lord, Rabb, deliver us, أخرجنا من هذه القرية الظالم, that take us away from the land of the oppressed, and we can do nothing. The millions out there can do nothing. The billions out there can do nothing. Think. And if you can't, if you are so cowardly and so weak that you can't physically fight, then at least speak about it. At least use your channels and programs. Those of you who have millions of subscribers out there, I'm talking about particularly in those who are engaged in what you would call, and I say again, in inverted commas, dawah, and you've got these so-called, in inverted commas, dawah channels. I don't like calling these terms dawah channels, where we appropriate terms which are universal in nature. But if you've got what you call these dawah channels, then engage with the people out there, the people we see exposing the rot, exposing the propaganda. By and large, a lot of secular Muslims, a lot of non-Muslims, Jews for that particular matter, anti-Zionist Jews, human rights activists out there. We should be in the forefront of this. We should be in the forefront. And unfortunately, those that are particularly focused with a bent on religion, with a bent on the idea of dawah, I mean, what are you doing? What on earth are you doing? This should be the core focus. You're having 1 or 2 lectures. That's not sufficient. You need to create this regular discourse in the minds of the people and conscientize the people on what is basically happening when your brothers and sisters are being tortured and abused and oppressed, and your women and sisters are being raped. And we're just sitting back and talking about other issues and engaging in your old social media spats. Nobody cares about them, and nobody cares about your positions. Nobody cares about that. People are dying and people are starving.
Absolutely. Before we get our brother on, Brother Dawood, servant of Allah, I just want to, a story comes to my head regarding Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who was the Khalifa at that particular time. It's a beautiful story, and inshallah, I'm going to explain what Abu Bakr as-Siddiq used to do. He used to leave his house early in the morning, and one day he was followed by Umar radiallahu anhu. And he saw Abu Bakr go to this particular house, and he would go there. And then in the morning, before the sun was up, he used to leave this house, and it wasn't Abu Bakr's house. It was just one of the people who used to live in the city. And Umar radiallahu anh would go afterwards. He would go and knock. He actually went afterwards after a certain amount of time, and he knocked on the door, and an old lady opened the door. And she was old, she was frail, and apparently she was blind. And he asked the old lady, you know, the visitor who comes to you at night and leaves early in the morning, do you know who he is? Who is he? She said, I don't know who he is. May Allah reward him. But he comes and he cleans my house. He swaps my clothes. And sometimes he'll cook for me and make food for me in the evening and make me breakfast. And then he would leave. So almost like, does he do this every day? And the old lady said, yes, may Allah bless this man. He does this every day. I don't know who he is. Umar said, do you know the name of the man? Has he ever mentioned? And she said, no. Then the Umar radiallahu anh replied to the old lady, he is the Khalifa, Abu Bakr. Now, subhanallah, now this is the Khalifa, Abu Bakr, who used to go and attend this old lady's house and look after the old lady because she was blind, she was frail, and he would cook for her in the evening and make breakfast for her and then leave. And subhanallah, where are these characters now? Where are these particular personalities now? Allah musta'an. Brother Dawood, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nice to have you on, brother.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers. I hope you're doing good, mashallah, subhanallah.
Alhamdulillah.
It keeps chucking at me, honestly. Each time subject comes to mind or thought, subhanallah, if someone doesn't automatically feel something in their heart, they really have to question themselves. And I want to say that, you know, every Muslim is so proud to be saying, you know, we're 2 billion, welcome to the Ummah. What does it mean, right? What does it mean? If you're 2 billion and you're just like not doing anything about it. I mean, if you look at the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the seerah, all the battles that have been fought, it wasn't for luxury, it was for oppression, people being oppressed. And this is like the biggest joke in the world. It's like a little piece of satanic batch of let me say, like real scum who are in the middle of surrounded by the Ummah, and everyone's like putting their hands up, like subhanallah. I mean, okay, the dua is the strongest thing that we have, and Allah doesn't need our dua or anything, but we need Allah. So that's why we make dua for them. And for us, it's like we have to be ashamed of ourselves, honestly. How can you say at the end of the day you did enough or you did something? Even if you did 24 hours, you were there on the ground, even they don't feel that it is enough. And subhanallah, you know, they're asking Allah for help. They're not asking us for help.
So true.
And Allah is replying to them. Subhanallah, if you hear the phone conversation of that little girl Hind, right? Subhanallah, you know, when she was reciting, the fear was not there anymore. It's like Allah took it away. And it came out so beautifully, subhanallah. If that's not Iman, wallah, if that's not Iman. I'm sorry, guys. This is just,
I know.
It's subhanallah. You feel powerless, Muhammad. Wallah, you feel powerless, but then you ask yourself, yeah, it's easy to blame it on the ones who have power, but they are also an individual Muslim. They also have a responsibility. So how are they going to, like, if they hear that, they hear what's going on, don't they like, does it have to be now? This is what happened now with the desensitization of the Ummah. It's not just, subhanallah.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Dawood. And I am really surprised. Actually, I'm not surprised that no pro-Zionist or pro-Israel have actually joined the stream. You can't defend it anymore. You just cannot defend your stance anymore. Initially, when we started the streams, we used to have some crazy fanatics with some crazy thought processes and some pervert ideologies. Where are you now? And if you want to come on,
you've sent out the link to them, haven't you?
I'll put the link out. We have people in the chat who comment. We have people like this. Look at this.
Israel is not Israel's Jews are God's chosen, so that the apple of his eye, so that allows them to basically murder and kill and rape. Yeah. Does he want to come on board? Does he want to come in?
I'll put the link again. And
if he wants to come in, and then we're going to close, but we don't want time wasters and we don't want the liars, because we're going to call you out and be harsh with you. We're going to call you out and be harsh with you.
Thank you so much. I have to go. But subhanAllah, keep up the great work in everyone, inshallah, in the ummah. Keep your prayers, keep them in your du'as, and this keep fighting against the oppression in any way you can. Don't look at views and don't look at things, because Allah is the one who records everything. And keep fighting against the censor that they keep censoring everything. Just subhanAllah, the most important thing is the views and what it really happened, how it touches the people, and not just what video has been viewed how many times. So brothers and sisters in Deen and Islam, keep up fighting, and ask yourself before you go to sleep, have I done enough? And also the last thing I want to say is, in short, imagine what the Prophet Muhammad would do or say if he was looking upon you in this time.
True. So, subhanallah. But Brother Dawood, at the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question us. What have we done to help the oppressed? What have we done? Brother Dawood, if we have to stand in front of Allah, at least we here this is being recorded, and also the angels is writing this down, the acts that we're doing, but we're trying our best, but there's some people out there who have buried their head in the sand, Muslims, and just getting on with their own lives, having blinkers on. I don't know what their situation is going to be, and when they have to stand in front of their Lord and be questioned. What did you do?
Just to add to that, in Surah Yasin in the Quran, it says that even you think what you did, even your hands and your feet will start talking, and your skin will start talking with the truth. You can say that you did this or that to comfort yourself, but the truth will come out, and it will basically say the truth, so you can't escape from it. So don't even try, right? Don't even try. Subhanallah.
Jazakumullah khair, Brother Dawood. Inshallah. Thank you for your support, Brother Dawood. MashaAllah, he's been mashallah supporting this channel. He was also our host at one particular time, and you are always, of course, welcome to be a major part of this channel. And there are a couple of people in the chat who've just joined us. If you are a non-Muslim, I have put the link again in the chat. If you want to come on, share your thoughts regarding the conflict in Gaza, the genocide, we would love to hear your stance against or for. So if you just want to be a keyboard warrior, continue being a keyboard warrior. So we're going to give it a couple of more minutes. If you want to join, you can. And final words from me regarding to promote this channel is, please, brothers and sisters, hit the like button, the subscribe, and share onto your platforms. And I don't know if I'm a bad host or Brother Yusuf's a bad co-host, but we don't have many people watching these podcasts. But when it comes to entertainment and debates, you have thousands of people watching them. But when it comes to highlighting the problem of the Muslim Ummah and the genocide, we have a handful of people. And it's concerning. And to me, it kind of shows the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that Hudhayfa ibn Yaman asked the Prophet ﷺ, will we be many in number? And the Prophet ﷺ, yes, you'll be many in number, but you'll be like the fluff or the scum on top of the ocean. And nations will come and eat from you like they're having a barbecue or a banquet. They will take whatever you from you, the ummah, but we'll be many in number, but we'll be weak. And this is unfortunately the situation, is because we'll be the narration goes is that we'll be like chasing after the tails of cattle, that we'll be chasing, you know, for the dunya, and we'll love this world too much. And this is the situation of subhanallah, the ummah, unfortunately. May Allah guide us, may Allah bring us back to the original, mashallah, the original first three generations of the companions. May Allah bring us back to the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you know, this is the situation. But if you want to come on a couple of more minutes before we close the show.
Whilst we wait, so sorry for the interruption, but whilst we wait, I just echo every single thing that you're saying, that people want, I don't know, culture of celebrities or whatever it is, but it seems to me that, you know, there's a saying that small minds discuss people, and people enjoy discussing other people's personal lives. This person did this, that person did that. It's far more entertaining as opposed to real hardcore issues, and of course things that are on the ground. And people wish to be buried and have their heads in the sand. That's their business and that's their prerogative. We've been sharing information and material even online. There is an excellent website for those who want to keep up to date with the latest information. Get in contact and have a look at this. This is a fantastic website which is done by Ali Abu Nima. It's called the Electronic Intifada. Phenomenal website that I urge everybody to look. We've been sharing a lot of material with you in recent months. This is a fantastic website, the Electronic Intifada. There's various opinions and analysis that's basically various contributors to this particular program. The various features, there's various reviews, there's blogs by different individuals. There's Ali Abu Nima, who is the individual that is behind the website. He's followed by various other journalists, high-profile journalists. These are the journalists: Maureen Claire Murphy, Asa Wustanley, David Cronin, Michael F. Brown, Nora Barrows Friedman. She's Jewish, by the way. That's her, Nora Barrows Friedman, staff writer and associate editor at Electronic Intifada, the author of In Our Power, U.S. Students Organize for Peace. You've got John Elmer, Jewish. You've got David Cronin. I don't know if he's Jewish. You've got Elmer, who's Jewish. You've got Asa Wustanley, who is in the United Kingdom. He's a journalist who stays in London. I mean, those of you in London, get in contact with this individual, co-host of this particular podcast. He's the author of the best-selling book, Weaponizing Anti-Semitism, How the Israeli Lobby Brought Down Jeremy Corbyn. One of your own from your country. I think David Cronin, if I'm not mistaken, he's also based in the United Kingdom. His book is called Balfour's Shadow, A Century of British Support for Zionism in Israel, Europe's Alliance with Israel, Aiding the Occupation. These are the people that are doing work on the grassroots levels. They're not Muslim. I mean, Muslims should be there. Muslims should be there. Maureen Claire Murphy, she's a recent senior editor of the Electronic Intifada, also based in London. I mean, you guys have got the cream of the crop in terms of people who are exposing the genocide. Of course, Ali Abu Nima from the United States, a co-founder of the Electronic Intifada, and the phenomenal host, that's the brother there, who's based, and Germany is threatening him with prison for this talk on Palestine. There's an arrest warrant, but these are fine folks, fine individuals that give you the latest updated material and news of what is basically happening. Yeah, torture survivor finds corpse of his 4-year-old son. I mean, there's so much happening. So much happening. Will it be ever safe to return home? The Abu Khattar family was overjoyed when they found their home still standing, but the joy was short-lived after it was destroyed. Further demolition set to further escalate. Israel increases restriction on Haram al-Sharif, and so on and on. So have a look at this website, get the material. You go to the electronicintifada.net /news. and it brings you to this fantastic website. And there's other material out there, books we've shared, individuals we've shared. It's time and it's appropriate that people get involved and share this material out there. And those of you out there who are regulars at Speaker's Corner, take some of this material and share it out. Speak out against it. There's not much going on out there. Share with people out there in terms of what is happening in Gaza. Expose the Israeli genocide. Expose what is happening. And, of course, create that discourse within your own communities. That's what we've been
I did reach out to them on Facebook. I reached out to quite a few people on Facebook and Twitter, especially people who've been guests on George Galloway's show called The Moats. I've been reaching out to many people on X or whatever, Twitter. But maybe everybody's busy.
I am in contact with Ali Abu Nima, but he's been bogged down, as a lot of these people are, with their own particular programs, and so he doesn't come too often. He even turned down Piers Morgan, by the way, and that shows that he's busy as well. But let's see how we have more guests, more engagements on the subject, and if there's no one there, we can call it a day and just pray again for the Palestinians.
Inshallah. May Allah make it easy for all of us, especially the brothers and sisters being oppressed around the world, even in Palestine, of course, Pakistan, Sudan, Somalia, all over the world, the Muslims are being oppressed. So we need to continue with our supplications, never give up hope with the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never give up hope. Always think good, be positive. And this is the way I would like to end the show, that I don't, even since the war started, I never ever thought that the people of Palestine or the people of Gaza will give up. They will continue to fight, and I can't see them losing the fight. I cannot see that. Even though we're seeing genocide taking place, I can never see them losing the war in Gaza. Subhanallah. And it's going to be nearly a year now, brother Yusuf. I'm sorry, I know I'm keeping you longer, but with all the might of the Israeli army and other forces from other nations being involved in this genocide, you still see them fighting, brother Yusuf, mashallah. You still see them fighting back and not giving up hope. Even though they're being moved around, they are still resisting.
The resistance is powerful, and they're in sandals, and they have no weapons. They have very infantile material, but they're taking apart the Israeli military. The resistance should continue. We need to support the resistance at all cost.
MashaAllah. Final words to you, brother Yusuf. Thank you for joining me.
I'll leave it at you. Thanks for again having these programs, and we will continue to have these programs where we will continue to expose Israel as nothing less than a satanic state, an evil state, a genocidal state, a state that needs to be disbanded. We don't make shame about this. It needs to be disbanded once and for all.
I want to play this video before we do end the show. Is the video that you sent me regarding some of the survivors that were rescued from the building that was bombed. If you don't mind me, and then we can end the show. So Bismillah.
بالسيارة بيشيلوه. السيارة بتتعامل مع سفن تبرية بس حملوه انتو. يلا يا شباب يلا. كريم عندك كريم تعال. افرد يا عمي يا شباب امشي شهيد لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. شيلوا شباب.
Yusuf, that is subhanallah.
الها تتعامل معه بسرعة يا محمد.
I do apologize, brothers and sisters, if you're watching this. I know it's quite, but this is the realities of war. This is the reality of the genocide that's taking place, and I wanted to play that. Even
people need to see that. People need to see that. They need to be shocked out of their complacency. Both Muslims and non-Muslims need to be shocked out of their complacency. So we give it out here. We are the truly uncensored. We just hope that you may have to put an age restriction to this and some of the other streams that we do. But it's important that people know the reality. Otherwise, the Palestinians are merely numbers. Oh, 1,000 died here, 100 died here. And as you can clearly state it, he said the Shaheed, they view them as martyrs. These are indeed martyrs, murdered and killed in the most horrendous of fashions, but they will have the highest stage in paradise.
Ameen. Inshallah. Inshallah. Jazakumullah khair, Brother Yusuf. Hopefully, we'll do another show towards the end of the week, and maybe we can see what happened with this so-called ceasefire deal. This so-called ceasefire deal, and inshallah, I'm looking forward to maybe doing another show with you on Friday, if possible. Thank you for joining me, Brother Yusuf. I really appreciate your companionship. May Allah bless you, protect you, and everybody else in the audience. Thank you for joining us. And this is your brother Muhammad from Cover Fef, and co-hosting Brother Yusuf Ismail, all the way from South Africa, with his own channel called the South African Debate Initiative. So, brothers and sisters, please go over there and subscribe to the channel. Final words from me are the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.